your chair.
All right, we're ready to go. Do we have everybody here? I can't see.
Yep. Let's I'll unmute everybody here real quick. Beautiful. I think we're good to go. Yep, everybody who's coming's here.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. 6 o'clock. Is there any public comment? Is there anybody on there?
I don't believe so. We just have Justin and Bob Ford. Well, Bob was here, but now he's gone. Oh wait, no, there he is.
Oh.
Never mind. He just showing himself instead of his name. No, everybody's here.
Okay. So there's no public comment then?
I don't see anybody. I thought Rich Happ was
Okay.
gonna come show up, but I don't see him.
Has everybody looked at the minutes yet?
I'll motion to accept. Dave Shinsky.
Second, Mike Culpepper.
We got a motion and a second. You want to do a roll call, Paula?
Yep. Woods,
Present.
Hunt,
Yes.
Shinsky,
Yes.
Culpepper,
Yes.
Dar.
Yeah. Treasurer's report. Our treasurer's not here, right? Tonight?
No,
We do have it though. If everyone wants to take a look at that. Pretty simple.
I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
I'll second Greg Hunt.
Okay, we have a
Okay.
motion and a second to accept the treasurer's report.
Woods,
I assume yeah, go ahead.
Woods,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes.
Shinsky,
Yes.
Culpepper,
Yes.
Dar.
Yes. Next on the agenda, item 5, CIB, TIFA plan update.
Yeah, thank you. Justin Sprague here, CIB Planning. I'm not sure if you have been able to see the draft plan. I sent an edited version late this afternoon to Paula, so I'm not sure if she was able to email it to you or not.
No, I was not able to get it to them in time.
If I can screen share, I can just show them really quick for those that can see. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes,
So what we have is basically, at this point, it's a 20-page document that we need to continue, or that we're finishing up. So at the last meeting, we discussed the project list, and the majority of what is in here is what I call the legal mumbo jumbo that the Public Act calls for, that we need to have within the plan in order for it to be an official plan. But so, which is PA 57 of 2018. I've basically taken the project list that I provided to you and included it in here. So we have our proposed improvements. This is what we discussed at the last meeting as required by the state act. And then we have underneath, well, each one of these items, E, F, G, H are all items that need to be covered in some way, shape, or form under the act. So they're not very in depth. They're just pretty much showing how we're meeting the criteria set forth. And then what we also did, so this is the development plan. What we have here really is two different plans. You have your development plan, and then we get into the tax increment finance plan. This is where we're actually talking about the money that we're planning to capture, what we want to do with that captured money, or how much money we're expecting to see, and from which jurisdictions we're capturing it from. And this is where we brought our tables in that we talked to you 2 meetings ago about. So the first year capture was 1990. At that time, the base value of the district was $1,139,000. We're sort of resetting or re-upping the plan. And so we go to show 2021 now. And the captured value that is here is the change in the base that has occurred since the plan was adopted originally in 1990. And then we project from there at a rate of about 2% with the 2020 base value. And we come up with a final potential taxable value capture of 6.8, almost $6.9 million. Then we go into is the second table, which shows the error or the number when broken down by millage that's captured. The numbers that we just looked at there, the taxable value. This column here is the most important column on this table. This gives you an estimate of increment revenue that you may see every year going forward with the new capture for a total over the next 25 years of $3.1 million is somewhere what we're projecting. And then lastly, the final table that we have in here, we wanted to talk about what's this going to look like to the taxing jurisdictions. So we put in here exactly which millages are being captured. You have everything from the county operating, council on aging, medical care, veterans, city itself, library and fire for a total of 25.36. And then we break out here in this table the estimated impact of each jurisdiction and the amount of capture that the DDA would be receiving every year. So you can see, for something like the MSU extension, next year you're only going to capture about $200 from them. So it's really not a lot of money, but it all adds up, and that's how we get to the 3.1 million that we are expecting over the next 25 years. The last item that needs to be included in this draft is this Appendix A, the base parcel data. And I spoke with Paula about this today. We just need to have a list of all of the properties that are within the district itself. So we'll have the parcel number and the ownership information for those parcels, and that'll be listed out here. That is a requirement of the state act. So other than that, as you can see, 19 pages. It's what we love to see in the planning world these days. Our plans that are longer or shorter than longer. But I'm happy to answer any questions. We will be also adding in here. There's a couple of placeholders for maps, so we'll add in the village or the city's future land use map, the existing land use map, and we're going to get a map of the DDA district boundary, just so that'll be on record. But with that, pretty much sums it up. So with that, I'll take any questions you may have.
When will the final package be ready?
For adoption?
Yeah.
I believe we would be able to have the full draft ready for your review and vote for your next meeting.
Okay, great. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay. Well, thank you. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. If anything does pop up, just contact Paula and she can get a hold of us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll
Have a
get-
good evening.
Justin, we'll get that emailed out to everyone, and then I know Cassie is helping me work on the maps that you asked for today.
Okay.
And we can print the list out of assessing, so we'll get all that, and then we should be ready.
Yeah, and then I'll review the act for adoption procedure, whether or not another public hearing is needed, and if there's any action that needs to be taken by council as well. So I'll get that all figured out and get an email for that put together for you on that.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night, everybody.
You too. Okay, number 6 on the agenda is the old or new business 2020, 2021 budget. I think there was a draft of it last year's. So we probably want to go through that and see if we want to make any changes. So our bond payment will change a little bit, correct, Paula?
No, what's in there? That's our final bond payment.
Oh, about 16,950.
Yeah. I think it's 940.29 or something like that, so. That's it, our final one.
Really? That's great. So we don't need to include them. What's that?
What's the big differences in professional services between last and the new budget? Goes from 4,500 to 700.
Because that's for the CIB that we're using right now. And I think we paid most of it last year.
Okay. What is the status of the amphitheater? Just wondering.
They actually were getting started with construction today.
Awesome.
Probably just putting up some silk fence and getting all that stuff started, but actual like earth moving will probably start after the 4th. Like around
Awesome.
the 13th or so.
Great. Thanks, Paul.
Mhm.
So Paul, I have last year's budget. Was there a rough draft of this year's sent out? Or no?
I thought they were together.
I didn't.
Like just in front
yeah.
of last year's was this year, the one that Rosemary just put together.
I didn't see that. Let me look here.
Did you guys get the one that shows both?
Yes.
Okay.
There's side by side, and then there's a last year's budget. on
Okay,
another page.
that's what I thought. Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Hmm. It was sent out with that packet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, huh. It's weird. Anybody have any comments or want to change anything on it, on the proposed budget? Or does it look pretty good to make a vote on?
I'd make a motion to accept the budget. I'll second it. Culpepper.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the proposed budget. I'm gonna take a roll call vote.
Woods,
yes,
Hunt,
Yes.
Shinsky,
Yes.
Culpepper,
Yes.
Dar.
Yes. All right. Old business, the history sign. That was the picture of it there, right?
Yes.
What did everybody think of that? Any comments on that? Looks pretty good.
I like the layout of it. Just needs some more updated, newer pictures, right?
I think we're missing some information like from the 80s to now, maybe like on the timeline. And then I guess we're just kind of looking for some feedback on the pictures or whatever. Or timeline, anything. It's a work in progress, right, Bob?
It has been. Those are the best pictures that we could find that demonstrates the points in time. I'm sure there's pictures that we could swap out, but I don't know if we can find anything better or not. But as Paul points out, I do think that we need to add a few things, more of the current history. For example, when the high school might have been renovated or built, or something that's done downtown. McClintock Park was renovated, or I don't know, the facades are redone. I don't know. Anything that you can think of, the more of the current. We did put the amphitheater in there just as a placeholder, but it's whatever you think that is significant.
So it appeared
What
to me
about
on
the,
the,
go ahead, Mike.
I was just say, it just appeared to me on the sign that, as you've already said, that we've got about a 20-year gap in there that we need to fill it up with either more photos as well as information.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what we're missing.
And it's in the 80s, is somewhere starting in the 80s to go on for that information. So we've got it narrowed down to the 80s coming forward.
Yes. Yeah, the train left in 76 or thereabouts. And from there until present day, I don't know. What do you think?
What year was the high school built and the old high school renovated? Was that in the 80s or the early 90s?
I don't have that date, but I'm sure we can find it.
Well, the high school wouldn't have been renovated, or the old school would have been tore down and already the new one up at that time. Because in 73, that's where I graduated, and it was in the new part right now. And it has been updated since then. That's when they put I never say it right, but the EDC, the child development, on the end of the school and stuff, and redid the gym. But I don't know the date of that, but it probably was in the mid 80s.
Yeah, they converted it from the high school to the elementary and the EDC. Right?
Right. It went to 7th and 8th graders, and then the child development center at that time. Yes. It made the school down at the elementary school, the full elementary school, and made it the middle school. And then the high school was built out there on Woodbury. Maybe not quite.
And then
First graduating class of that would have been 93 or 94.
Yeah.
I know the came down not too long ago. I don't remember that date right now either.
What was
And
that?
what
I
year-
don't know if that, I don't know if that's significant or not.
what was it, Bob? I
The
didn't catch it.
granary? Remember
Yeah.
that storage
Yeah.
granary that was back in the, behind the Twilliger area, behind the brew pub,
Oh, the demolition
Yeah.
of the elevators.
the elevators?
That was in
That was in-
2012.
Yeah. When did we build the bathrooms at the park and do all that renovation? was early
2006 and
2000.
7.
Yeah, that's something we could put in there because that's right by the amphitheater, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, we don't need a lot, but it'd be nice to have a couple more things. At least on the timeline.
What
Right.
was the timeline that the school sold it to the city, or whatever term you want to use? Do we know that? Because that would be the start, one of the starting points in that time here when the city actually got the park from the school. I'm
All right.
just trying to
I
get
didn't
those
realize-
years, that pinpoint of years to focus on it between yearbooks or anything else that may have been printed for information from the schools and all that stuff in that time frame. I was well past that age.
Is that when it was the diamond, the ball diamond, the school owned it then?
Yeah. That's where all the games were played for years,
Yeah.
or most all the games, until they got lights and, down in the ball field down there right now, or they had. And so that
Yeah.
changed a lot of stuff for them too. So
That had to be in the 80s, I would think.
I don't remember. I don't know.
Yeah,
And we had,
that would
you
be
know,
pretty easy to look up.
yeah, they've got pictures there on the sign of the ball teams and the football teams and stuff, but there's a little gap we have to fill, it sounds like.
You probably
Well,
just need,
so,
2 or 3 things.
yeah, so we could probably, Paulo probably has the date of when we bought the city acquired the park. That'd be pretty
Look
easy
all
date.
that up.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Well,
Yeah, I can look up whatever you guys want. So I guess we're just
Yeah.
looking for some feedback as what else you would like to see in here, and are any of the pictures like significant? Any of the ones that you like, you don't like, you think we should replace them? One should stick out more than the other, anything. I mean, I'm still looking for a photo of when the fire department used to freeze over the old tennis courts. I think I'm getting a little closer on somebody that might have one of those, so we're working on that.
So this is Sharon. I think one suggestion, one thought or question is I'm wondering, so Bob, how long do you think this sign will last? I guess let me ask you that first. I know we asked you that before, but can you say again, how long will this sign last?
Yeah, I mean, they'll pretty much guarantee the signs for about 10 years. But in reality, they're going to last a lot longer than that. Signs that we have
Then,
have been
Mhm.
up there for almost 10 years.
so I would love to see the year, I have to look at my calculator, the year 2038. And then instead of it showing 200 years, you say it's our bicentennial. I mean, that's a big milestone for many communities that are having, a bicentennial anniversary. It's an opportunity for a huge kind of celebration. I realize that seems like a long way out now, but I would hate for 2030 to come along and have this sign, just kind of I think if we just stop at 2013 or even 2020, it could quickly become outdated. And if we just put 2038 on there, it just shows that we're forward thinking and recognizing that, hey, you know what, we're going to have a bicentennial coming up. Time flies. It'll be here sooner than we know.
Yeah, you can even write that on there, right? I mean, you put the date on there and then write bicentennial right on there. That's a great idea.
Yeah, instead of 170, instead of putting 200 years, you just say bicentennial exclamation. And I think if we took a couple of these photos and just maybe split, like the two photos on the right, if we just split them closer together, maybe we'd have room on the page to get 2038 on there. And we could, up on our logo, up on the upper left-hand corner, if we took that logo and just slid it over to the right a tiny bit, we might have a little more room at the other end of the banner. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, how do we squeeze it on? My only other comment is the black font. To me, it looks really hard to read. I love that white font on that red background. I love the depth of the colors, but I think that dark black print is harder to read than the white print. So I'm not sure what I'm recommending. It's just an observation.
Yeah, I'm
That's all.
pretty sure that Jonah did that deliberately because he didn't want to distract from Langsberg's history. He wanted that to fade to the background, but you know, those are the big events. But we could come up with a different color. We could lighten it up.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can even see it, really. I'm worried it's going to be gone.
Yeah,
What do they say? Oh, the Civil War. Maybe we just take those. I'm not sure we need those on there, honestly, because it is the history of Langsberg, and there's so many words on the page already. I mean, it's interesting, but I'm wondering if maybe it just becomes almost too much. It's just too much. Like less is more kind of thinking, you know?
Yep, that's up to you guys.
I think it is distracting because I'm struggling to read it. And there's so much already. It would give you a little more room to slide. If you took those black words off, you'd have a little more wiggle room to slide some of those timeline descriptions. It would give you maybe a little more space. Maybe you could even go up half of font size if you had a little more room.
Yeah.
It kind of gives you a capture in time, though. I mean, when you look at it, as far as you know, what was going on in that time in the world. I mean, I kind of like that part, but I mean, it is busy. I agree, but
remember the sign is gonna be almost 5 feet long and 2.5 feet tall. So
how long? 7?
Almost, it was like 54 inches. So 60 inches is 5 feet. So it's 4 point something feet. So when you're standing in front of it, they're going to look a lot larger than they are that you're seeing.
Yeah, I see that.
What if that went down below it, Bob? What if you like put those little captions in time below the year? You know, down there in the bottom, so it's not intermixed with all the other stuff.
Yeah, we could do that. It was just an overall reference to give perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I like the idea of, you know, it's a capture in time. Hey, around World War II, this was happening in Lanesburg, or this happened in Lanesburg. But, you know, Sharon's right. It is real busy right there. So maybe it's just kind of down in the bottom if somebody wants to glance down and get a capture of time, and that might kind of.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, not a problem. And then I like the idea of adding the 200 years.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And then this little thing, did you know, the only reason we put that on there is because we had it on the other signs. And it's supposed to be a teaser. so that people will read it and they'll say, what does Nebraska, Michigan, and Laingsburg, Michigan have in common? Hint, a post office. I still don't have a clue. But if you go over, if you go over to, 1841 on the time chart, it says the post office opened town named Nebraska, which is Laingsburg. That's its first name. Or the post office. That's what people referred to it as. So I don't know. It's up to you.
Really?
Again, my inclination is to say less is more and to just kind of simplify it so that it's a little easier to digest, a little easier to, focus on the milestones.
All right. Well, why don't we take those dark letters and we'll move them down below as a time reference. And then that will move everything up a little bit, give it a little bit more space. And add the 200 years. And then if we do come up with another photograph, we'll do what Sharon said and try to condense the two pictures on the right. Maybe make the ball field overlap the trees on the train, and then see if we can put one more picture toward the end.
Yeah, what is that? What's the rightmost photo? Is that a?
That's a train leaving.
Oh, I see. That's a train. That is kind of cool, isn't it?
It's the last
And then
train.
the second from the right. That is the
That's the baseball that they play.
baseball. Okay.
Yeah. And then that's
Can those be stacked because they're not as tall? Could they be stacked a little bit to make room? You could, where it says the founding of Laingsburg, you could take that paragraph, move it up by the logo. You could take that piece of information, move it up by our logo on the upper left hand, and then you could stack those photos and you'd have room maybe to squeeze one more picture in there.
Yeah, I think we could squeeze one more.
How do you guys feel about the football team picture? Do you think it works or?
Well, it kind of doesn't go with the other ones, but I mean, somebody wants it in there.
It
No,
doesn't
I
do
mean,
much.
Yeah, I agree. I really like the other one to the right of it a lot better.
Yeah,
That one larger and the football players not there.
yeah.
That baseball field
Oh.
one, if you see the picture close up, it's a very nice picture.
And I think that's important because that's where the sign's going. I mean, they're talking about, when it's right in the park. So the baseball
Right.
one's important.
And then the train one, I would like to see us find a better photo. It's really not a great photo. It
Yeah,
doesn't, I mean, the train, like Sharon just asked what it was, and it is kind of hard to tell.
yeah. That's an important one too, I think. But yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I'm wondering if I'm having a hard time seeing it, but could it be trimmed a little on the right or on the left just to make it a little more proportionate to the other photo sizes?
Yes.
Just to give you a little more wiggle room there as well. You could probably just trim half the tree off.
Yep. No, you
So did you say take the football one off, Paula? You said?
Yeah, I mean, that was just one of the ones we threw in.
Yeah.
This whole thing is, up for grabs, whatever you guys
Yeah.
think. I mean, tell us
Well,
what
if
you
you took
think
that out,
about.
if you took that out, you could shift the other two over, like you said, and then add another one that you were thinking, maybe a different one.
And that's fine. I mean, the reason that photo's in the mix is because in the beginning we were trying to find photos of just this site and then one, and so we kind of kiboshed that because we couldn't find enough photos of just this site. So, and like I said, I am still looking for a really cool one of when people would ice skate up there and they would freeze over the tennis courts.
Right.
Something along those lines. So
I actually would take the paragraph, the founding of Langsberg. I would just move it straight up to the upper right-hand corner so it's on top of the green.
We can do that.
That gives you a little more room.
Yep.
So we want to take the football picture out and try to find one with the ice skating, and then shift those other two over a little bit, and then we're going to add the bicentennial date on there, right?
Yep.
Right. So the first photo is Peter Lang, which you guys clearly wanted, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The second photo, I mean, it's just the first framed house, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about that one?
I think anything with buildings is really, really good. I think people
Yeah.
just love looking at old buildings, and more
Okay.
so than trees and fields.
And the grist
Yeah.
mill used to be there. And then the other one is like downtown, which I'm sure we have a couple more of downtown that if we could replace something if you wanted to. The next one is the Opera House, which is on one of our other signs. And the next one is the bank, which that's on one of our other signs. Then the football players, then that baseball one, and the train. So, I mean, Kate, I basically think we're just looking for some feedback here. What kind of pictures do you like? What do you think we should have in there? I mean, we can find more photos. One of Peter Lang turned
Yeah.
out pretty good, so.
I
Yeah,
like the
people,
buildings that
buildings,
follow the
and
time
trains.
frame. Yeah. The
People,
building-
buildings,
Yeah.
trains, and horses. Horse and buggy. Anything with a horse and buggy.
I think I probably can find some.
I mean, people love to see, the animals in action, the horse and buggy, the horse-drawn cars.
Isn't there a picture somewhere of like downtown where there's all like cars and horses mixed together or something? Or am I thinking of Lansing? I thought I saw a photo of that at one time.
You might have from the top of the hill, because that seems to be familiar to me too, looking down the hill with everything lined up with cars and stuff. But I just
Right,
sitting
and then
here
maybe-
thinking on the train one, it's too bad we couldn't combine a train and the Beanie and Cecil railroad track things over the road from downtown some way.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah,
people
the
remember
railroad
those, but a lot of people never had a clue they were there.
Yeah, I was one of the ones that never had a clue. And when I saw that first photograph, I couldn't figure out what they were.
Yeah.
It took me a while to study it to realize that it had to do with the crossing of the railroad track. I mean, I spent some time just trying to figure it out. That was kind of fun.
It was like one day they were there and one day they were gone. So
Yeah.
I agree
Yeah,
with
that's important.
the buggies and the cars. And the football team, I think I agree with that too, although that's one of the few that has people in it. But I think I agree with that as well. I think all your comments make sense.
Okay. So are we going to do another draft for the next meeting? Is that how that's going to work, Bob?
I guess so. Yep.
Are we on a time frame to get it done, or are we good with that now? Or
I think Paula said September was our deadline.
okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think we need to finalize it up next month for sure, but we could, bring a couple more ideas. And I mean, if anybody has something in the meantime, just contact me or Bob and give us some thoughts so that we can get this put together.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'm relying on Paula and the historical group to find these photographs. And I know that, they've got 1 million of them, but are 990,000 any good, You got to
Right.
find something that's clear enough, and when it's enlarged, it still holds together and it targets the time period, and if it's quality photograph or not. I mean, It limits,
Who has,
I wouldn't think you'd be so limited, but it starts to limit you when you go through it.
so wasn't there like a bunch on some boards or something somewhere? Like at the pancake breakfast and all that? Who has all those?
We have them at the city.
Okay.
I think the other thing we were trying to do is not duplicate every picture that's on another sign, which was
Right.
more difficult than it sounds like also.
Right.
Sounds like that's hard to do.
Yeah, the whole project. I mean, I give Paula and the group a lot of credit for finding what they found and putting it the way they have. I mean, it's more of a challenge than you think.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I know when I used to play baseball, like down the hills there at McClintock Park, if a train came through, they had to stop and hold up for the train to get through.
Huh.
I have any idea what year that was.
Huh. I can
Well,
kind of remember that.
next we'll have to start doing some oral histories.
Yeah.
We'll have to do storybook telling at the new amphitheater.
There
Yeah.
you go. There you go. I had another thought for the amphitheater. We could do a home or a reunion, a family reunion, and use the big screen and just have their pictures rotate through during their reunion.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things you can do down there. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, any more
Well, this
comments
looks
on the
nice,
plan?
Bob. I really like the colors. I think it looks really rich, and these saturated colors are nice. And I think it looks nice.
Well, thank you. And thank Paula. She's been doing a lot of the research.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Paula,
Paula.
for
You're
all of your
welcome.
hard work and your hours.
Well, we'll see you next month. And hopefully that'll
Yep.
be final.
Sounds good. Thank you, Bob. We appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
You too. All right. So our next order of business is other. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to talk about tonight?
I've looked at prices for bleachers since we can't afford the concrete stairs, and those run anywhere from 5,000 up to 15,000. But I don't know if we can afford even $5,000 bleachers.
In
We're
front of the
gonna
amphitheater?
We're gonna do grass seeding.
But it'd probably have to be on flat ground now.
Right, so the project already includes, like the landscaping to allow for grass seeding, so it's gonna be unlevel
Okay.
so it's gonna be like tiered.
Tiered lawn, right?
Right. I mean, if
Yeah.
bleachers is something we need, it's gonna have to be later on down the road after we get everything done, so we see if they would work.
Right.
Yeah, that's a smart idea to just wait until you can till you can really be in the space and know how it really feels when it's done. Paula, did we not get the grant then for our small businesses?
That's correct.
Mm.
A lot of applications. I went out on the state's website, and I think they gave to 10 or 15, and they had a lot. So I know Wasco got one, Grayling did, a couple of others, but yeah, it was a
It
bummer.
was really competitive.
Oh yeah, yep.
Well, thank you for trying.
You're welcome.
I know you put a lot of hours, days into that as well. That was really
I did.
an impressive effort that you put into, trying. So it's unfortunate that we didn't make the cut, but hopefully the small businesses appreciate that we at least tried for them.
We did.
Huh.
And our tables and chairs are out in case you haven't been downtown, and they have been very well received. So people really like it.
Yeah, I saw that the other day. It looks nice. A lot of people out there.
I mean, we didn't have them down. We sat them out at Tammy's and we went down the hill and there were already 4 people sitting up there. And I see some pictures on Facebook. It looks like she's moved some of her own tables and chairs outside now. So, I mean, it's catching on and people love it. They really do. And all the
Yeah.
business owners that I talked to were just ecstatic with the effort. And that was, I mean, to me, that was kind of it seemed like a small effort, but I think it really had a huge impact. So it was very nice.
Between
Tammy-
those tables and the farmer's market last week with the last couple weeks, seeing the traffic downtown, it's starting to show that people are wanting to get out and be downtown. They just got to have the means to be able to do it. I seen probably at least 100 people down at the farmer's market. That's a lot of people
Wow.
down there and this time. So that's great.
I know that we got Rich Hafner trying to connect to talk to us about a project that he's working on. It doesn't look like his audio is quite ready yet, but
Okay, does anybody else have anything else before he gets
Paula,
on?
I have Rich on the phone. I'm gonna have him call in and then he should be connected in just a minute,
okay.
right?
So Rich is a little background. I've been working with Rich on a project. They own the Cinder building, him and his wife, on the corner of Grand River and Roosevelt Row. And basically they're trying to rehab upstairs to make 2 apartments. And then they'll make the downstairs a commercial space. So he's trying to get a grant. We're working with the MEDC to get a grant for the 2 apartments. And one of the things that the grant requires is local participation. And by that, that could be like us paying for the permits or whatever. But he mentioned to me that he still wanted to paint the rest of the building. And I felt that the best participation would be to try to talk to the DDA about getting a facade program, which it might just be a contingency letter that says that the DDA supports the project. Obviously, we have supported more housing downtown. And I think that, it's proof that we need to have more people living downtown with all of the projects that we've been going through. And so one of the things is that this is definitely a needed project, and putting that kind of money in that building will benefit all of us. So I suggested that he contact the DDA and talk about a facade grant. If he actually gets this grant, then the DDA would support up to $5,000 for painting the building and a new awning or whatever it is. So that's what he's trying to get on to talk to us about. Any questions about that project?
Do you have any idea what they're thinking about downstairs, or have they mentioned it? Not that it matters. I just,
Yes, they want to preserve their liquor license, so they have a little less than 2 years left of being able to have that in whatever you call that when you put it on hold, your liquor license.
escrow or something. Yeah.
Escrow, yep. And so they want to do like a banquet center. So where they would cater for parties or whatever and provide liquor and beer or whatever. So birthday party, graduation party, baby shower, whatever. Maybe an education seminar, who knows, but like a banquet center of sorts.
And that's cool.
Upstairs,
So
there would be 2 houses or 2 apartments.
2 apartments and some type of business downstairs.
And we've been working with Chuck for a couple of weeks from the MEDC, so we're getting pretty close to being able to turn in an application. I think they give like 30,000 per apartment, I think, if I remember correctly. And then he'll have a certain match, so he's obviously having some trouble connecting, so.
Yeah.
Well, if he doesn't get through, maybe he can just shoot you an email and then you can email us all. We could take a look at what he has and talk about it at our next meeting.
I mean, I don't think
How much
I mean,
time does he have?
well, I think we want to get something turned in next week or in the next couple weeks to get the application in. So remember, it's just an application. So if he doesn't get funded, then you're not, you don't have to provide the funding. But he's saying that the professional paint of the building, he would like to have it painted, and it would be between 7,000 and 10,000. So your program would give 70% of 10,000 or max of 5. So if we could just get some sort of a motion from the DDA that they would support that project and provide the $5,000 facade money if he were to paint the building, then
For next year's thing? You
I'm
mean?
sorry?
Or this year? For
It
next
would
year
be-
or this year?
Oh yeah, it would not happen until after your next budget year, I don't think. So like the budget we're in, I don't even know that it would happen then because we have to get through the entire grant process. So I would say he wouldn't start construction until next spring, probably of some type.
I'd make the motion to participate in his
I think
application.
I got him here if you want to wait just a minute.
Okay.
Are you
Hello?
there, Rich?
Can you hear me?
Yep, sounds
Yeah.
like he's on.
Hallelujah. I can see pictures.
I've kind of given him the whole background, so if you want to go from there.
Okay,
I've told him
Whatever that
about
is.
your I've told him about your project and what we're thinking.
yeah, basically whatever Paula said, she knows it probably better than I do. All I'm trying to do is, I've just got plans for our building and it's kind of a 5-year plan. And right now I'm kind of going in the 4th year. 3 years ago, we put our liquor license in escrow and I gutted the upstairs of the building and everything. And then 2 years ago, with the DDA's help, which we're very thankful for, we put new windows in I did masonry work to the building and then put new windows in the building, anticipating moving forward with things. And now this year, I plan on putting a new roof on by August. There's some more masonry work that has to be done up on the roof as far as braces and stuff like that. And then we're going to do the roof. And then once the roof's done, then it's pretty much, I have to follow whatever happens with I'm not good on these initials. I think it's the MEDC. I do have the matching funds. And what we're trying to do is get the apartments in upstairs. I want to try to get that done by the first part of next year and get all that construction out of the way. And then after that, having put the new roof on this summer, getting that in place, then we plan on doing some things to the downstairs and hopefully having the business back open by the end of that next year or the spring of 2022. We plan on getting our liquor license back out of escrow. Then I've kept it in escrow for the past few years. And hopefully we'll get back in business, and it'll be good for the community, good for us, good for everybody. That's what we're hoping to do. The way I understood, the only reason I was calling the meeting tonight, the way I understand the rules is that the city or the DDA, one or the other or both, I believe they look for some kind of contribution. So I'm not asking for any certain amounts, but if there's something that you could do or would want to do, that would be awesome. Because there's a lot of expense with the matching funds and the roof and all the other stuff I'm doing over this next year. I don't know if you have any other questions or.
So the question was that, since you had to paint, that maybe there was an option there for you to get a commitment for a facade grant for the painting of the building.
That I don't know what other things are involved with the DDA, but that would probably be one of them. I do intend, after we get the apartments in, then I plan on getting the building painted professionally. I threw a coat of paint on a couple years ago and it wasn't that great. So it's pretty expensive to get the building painted. I've talked to a couple people and it's kind of in the $7 to $10 grand ballpark by the time you do all the prep work and 2 coats of paint and all the trim and everything else involved. So, I mean, if that's something they could put something towards, whatever, I mean, anything like that helps. So do you need an actual dollar amount, Rich, or do you just need a letter saying that, you know, we would entertain the thought of helping with your restoration project and a facade grant in the future?
I think we need a dollar amount with it.
Pardon me?
I think we do need a dollar amount. I feel like, you know, if we just say, yeah, the DDA says that they support the project, I think what the state's really looking for is what our contribution would be to the project. Like, would we waive the building permit fees? Would we, you know, put in new sidewalk? Would we, you know, something like that? Or
I
would
can
do a facade
give-
grant up to $5,000 or something like that?
Well, we've basically done this in the past where we've approved a facade grant for somebody to move forward on work that wasn't necessarily that we knew about 2 or 3 months ago. And personally myself, it's for the downtown. I make a motion that we support and pledge or commit up to $5,000 on a Phase Forward grant for the Hafners to work on their building.
Providing they
So-
meet all of the criteria.
Right. It's as long as everything is met to criteria by state and everything else, then that's when it comes into play.
Right, then you would have to fill out the application, Rich, and, you know, just go through the whole process, but it would be already basically approved. Right, the way I understand it, the guy, Chuck at the state told me that probably wouldn't be able to start the construction on the inside till the first of the year if everything goes through. So I'm anticipating it. I wouldn't really be ready to even paint it till next summer sometime. So I could fill out the paperwork in the spring, whatever that was. Was it like February or March or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, our deadline's March meeting, I believe. I could turn that in. If I could get some kind of letter to send in with the application now, that would be no problem, and then you would know that everything's in. Mm-hmm.
I can get that. I can get the letter prepared and get Mark Brink to sign it. If you guys make that, if somebody seconds Mike's motion or whatever, so.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion and a second. Do you want to read the motion?
That the DDA will commit to supporting a facade grant up to $5,000 or 70% of the project for the exterior of I don't know the address right now off the top of my head, but
205.
Yeah, as long as they meet all the criteria and fulfill the requirements.
Do we need to put the fiscal year on there?
I don't know that we know exactly what it would fit, but I'm thinking it won't be this fiscal year. But you could put a year on there if you want to.
It wouldn't be till 2021, next spring or summer.
And yeah, of course, it doesn't matter that big of a deal, but with that commitment there, like you say, our budget starts in July. So, when 1st of July and after just gets us into the next year, and it doesn't affect this year.
But all of
Right.
this is contingent upon the MEDC grant coming
Right.
through and the program that he's in.
Right. If you don't get the grant, then everything's just a wash.
Right. All right, we have a motion and a second. You want to do a roll call, Paula?
Yes, Woods,
Yes.
Hunt,
Yes,
Shinsky,
Yes.
Culpepper,
Yes.
Dar.
Yes. All right, Rich, you should be all set.
Hey, I want to thank you guys very much.
No problem. Good luck with
You're
that.
welcome. Just keep up the good work.
Yeah, we're going to get it done.
Yeah,
Okay.
great. All right.
Was there anything else you needed?
I don't think so. I think we're all set.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, Rich. You too. All right. Does anybody have anything else? All right. Well, I guess we'll adjourn 7:01.
All
Everyone
right.
have a safe holiday.
Everyone be safe.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
and
Have
we're.
a good night.
Bye.
Bye.